I will call to order at 9:07 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the June 9th zoning hearing board agenda. There's one appeal. It is number 25-3792, Sean Duffy for 134 Yew Road. Perhaps Mr. Sekawungu, you could give us a brief synopsis and overview. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, it does look like we have the applicant here. So let's start with Mr. Sekawungu, and then we could turn it over to the applicant.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application is going before the zoning hearing board seeking zoning relief to allow for renting of an in-law suite that's attached to the primary dwelling. This came to the township's attention as part of an inspection. The inspection revealed that there had been remodeling going on at this property without any permits. And as part of that process, they did find a locked door which had access to an in-law suite. The applicant is proposing to rent this suite for which we have no records in our files of its existence. But at the same time, too, in-law suites are generally meant for family as opposed to rental as rental. So that could technically trigger some issues related to sewer capacity and licensing. But again, they will be going before the zoning hearing board, and the application or the property is in Ward 7. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sekawungu. Mr. Duffy, we'll give you a couple of minutes to talk about your application, and then I'm sure the board will have some comments and or questions. But just before we get started, it seems to me that referring to this as an in-law suite is a bit of a misnomer because it's meant to be a rental suite, as I understand it. So go ahead, Mr. Duffy.
Yeah, so let me clarify. I appreciate the introduction and this summary, Henry. Sort of by way of background, my name's Sean Duffy. I'm an attorney with the law firm Obermeyer. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Miss Benita Joseph, and her husband. And sort of the background of this property, they purchased the property back in 2004. At the time of purchase, one of the key selling points to them was the inclusion of an in-law suite that is configured within the house. Now, fast forward today, they recently purchased the property in a nearby community, and with the intention of maintaining the subject property and renting it out to a tenant. There is, to just clear up any confusion, they're not seeking to rent to multiple tenants. They're seeking to rent out the entirety of the property to just one tenant. So they, in doing so, they reached out to the township, as Henry described, and tried to figure out the process and whether there was anything that they had to do from the township's end, at which point they applied for the rental license, which was denied, as Henry stated, based on an inspection of the property with the discovery of the in-law suite. And based on that, we're just requesting a variance to permit the in-law suite to remain within the single-family dwelling in the R2 residential zoning district, and that's from Section 295, Tax 601. In addition, we're requesting relief from Section 295, Tax 405, 6E, and that relates to the use regulations for a single-family detached dwelling, which does not allow a second kitchen facility. So you can only have one kitchen facility within a home. So, but the main point being that they're not renting out the in-law suite to a separate tenant. They're just looking to maintain the property as it has been in place. From what they were told at the time of purchase, the in-law suite was constructed at some point in the 1970s or 80s. So this is something that has been incorporated into the house for many decades. They did not go and do this on their own. And, our position, and, as my client can speak to, that sort of getting rid of this functional space within the house would be really just cost prohibitive. They're agreeable to having some sort of deed restriction where if it's sold in the future, that it could only be that portion of the property could only be used by blood relatives with no additional children under the age of 18 or anything like that. But sort of that's our intent, and I think I described that if you read the addendum I provided with the application.
Well, thank you, Mr. Duffy, and I apologize. On my paperwork, it suggested that you were the applicant, so I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I think that's just based on the new online system that you guys have. If I'm submitting on behalf of somebody, so
fair enough. But thank you for your presentation, Mr. Sekawongo. I see your hand up.
Yes, I was just curious if there could be clarification on who the actual owner is for this property, as in the deed has names that are not, I'm not sure anybody online.
Yeah, so the deed has Miss Joseph's husband, Ramses Jean-Louis, and so
Okay.
yeah, that's the owner. But
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes,
and I'm happy to add additional context if we think that would be helpful.
Yes.
I'll give you just a minute, sir. Okay, but go ahead.
Sure. My name is Ramses Jean-Louis. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. This is my wife, Benita Joseph. Just to give a little bit of context, we're originally from Brooklyn, New York. We're both former prosecutors in Manhattan under Robert Morgenthau. When we were looking to move to Pennsylvania, we were looking to get out of New York City, and we're looking for a different life. We looked at a lot of homes in Pennsylvania. The home that we fell in love with was 134 Yew Road. And the way that it was built, the way it was designed, the history that comes with it. One of the highlights is the fact that it has this in-law suite that's really the great room. And the great room is closest to the deck. So in terms of the layout, the design, the convenience, it's been fantastic. It's been good to us because we had our son that was actually born there. So we're still in love with the house. We live in Jenkintown now, and fortunately, we found a really great tenant that we know that's going to love on that house the same way that we've been able to. They have 2 kids that's in the Cheltenham district. She's looking to move in with her mother to kind of help raise those kids. 2 kids, right? 2 kids in Cheltenham district.
Yeah.
So again, we found a great tenant that's coming in that's looking to rent out the entire home. So we think that's a win. That's a win for the community. That's a win for us. To make any changes to that in-law suite after we've been living there for over 20 years would significantly depreciate the value that we found in it and the value that the tenant is interested in why they are looking to move into that space.
For those comments, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brockton, this is in Ward 7.
Yes, it is.
Any comments or
I
questions?
do have a question. I'm sorry, when you purchased a home, did you purchase that as a 1-unit home or a 2-unit home? When the appraisal was done on the property, was it listed as a 1-unit or was it listed as 2 units? The fact that it has a kitchen and a bathroom, and it's what we're calling your in-law suite. Can you tell me what happened when you purchased the home?
It was marketed and listed and described on all the materials as a single family home with an in-law suite.
Okay, so it wasn't listed as 2 units at all.
No.
And when you had the appraisal done, did the appraisal say that it was 1 or 2 units?
It was the same throughout. It was listed as a single family unit with an in-law suite. And we even received paperwork that the zoning was approved, but not warranted by the county. We used a real estate agent. We thought this was nothing really, that everything was on the up and up.
Okay. And you've owned this home, you said, for how long?
21 years last Memorial Day. So since 2004. Our first weekend in the home was 2004 Memorial Day weekend.
Wasn't this home recently on the market to sell?
No.
Was this home?
No.
Was it not?
No.
Okay, I got you mixed up with
No.
another property then. Okay.
No.
But you're not there now, you're just renting it out right now.
We
would
haven't,
like to.
yeah, we haven't rented it out yet. We took some time to, do some work on the home. And we took our time to find tenants because this was our home. So we just didn't want anyone living there. We love that neighborhood. We raised our son there. So we took a while before we actually found people that we felt comfortable living there.
And
Okay.
by doing work, we're talking about painting. We did some painting. We swapped out a couple of sinks.
Mhm. Okay. All right. I want to sort of turn it back over to Henry if we can.
Yeah, so
Mr. Chair.
thank you. Thank you again. I just to confirm based on the inspector's observations, there was also some electrical work that was going on, but that's beside the point. I was just curious, during the 20 years that you've resided at this location, what has that in-law suite, or how has that been utilized?
My goodness, that was the heart of our house. So we always joke that although the house is approximately 4,000 square feet, we spent 90% of the time in the in-law suite because the kitchen was there. So I was able to cook, my son was able to do his homework, my husband was able to watch TV, all in the same room. And then we had the deck. So we're able to go outside and hang out. But that was honestly where we spent most of our time. And there's a little room on the side where you can have a little office. And so that's where we were also able to do work. It was our favorite part of the house. It's a beautiful farmhouse. It's over 100 years old, but that section is more modern. So you have the traditional farmhouse, and then you have the in-law suite, which has the high ceilings, and it looks way more modern feel, bright colors. So we always joke that we're getting the best of both worlds. We get the traditional old house that we all love, that we both loved, but at the same time, we get this more modern house too.
Henry,
Can-
real quick. There's no records of anyone ever getting any type of permits or anything to put this in-law suite in?
No, we don't have any information on that at all in our records.
Okay. Thank you.
So
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
that's quite all right. Mr. Sekawongo, just one other question about the work that was done. You said there was some electrical work. Was that work permitted, or did the applicants receive citations for those?
The work was not permitted. I'm not sure what the follow-up was specific to that. I know they did follow up with a zoning hearing board application specific to the use of the
Yeah.
And
but I'm
just to
not sure.
clarify, Henry, was that just work that was identified that needed to be done for the rental license?
No, it was actual improvements or remodeling that had occurred based off
Okay.
of the observation by the rental inspector.
Okay.
So, to be honest with you, the previous owner was an electrician, and I know he did do work on the house. While we lived there, there were some electrical issues that came up from time to time, and we did have an electrician come to fix it. Honestly, maybe we didn't think this was work that needed a permit. It was not a major rewiring. It's just like, the kitchen light's not working. Let's bring the electrician to fix it. So to the extent that we should have gotten a permit, we honestly did not know. But any major electric work that you're seeing, that was not done by us.
Just out of curiosity, where's the second kitchen?
It's in the in-law suite, so it's like in the corner.
There's only one kitchen,
It's too
or there's
There's
two?
two kitchens.
There's a kitchen.
Where's the
in
other
main
one?
house. There's the kitchen in the main house where the older
I see.
side of the home, and there's a kitchen in the in-law suite.
I see. Okay. Commissioner Norris, you had a question?
Yeah, and I know there's some noise in my background, but hopefully you can hear me. I'm confused as to what the issue is here. The multiple family members are permitted in the house, and I thought a second kitchen was permitted as long as it's used for that primary residence. So I'm not sure what the question is.
That's a good question.
So a second kitchen is not permitted under the use regulations for a single-family detached dwelling. And in addition to that, there was a zoning determination done prior to the submission of the zoning hearing board application that also identified that a sort of an in-law suite is not permitted under the zoning ordinance, which is obviously a little bit different than I think many municipalities, and at least in Montgomery and Bucks County.
And just to add to that, traditionally, as Mr. Duffy had indicated, what the township generally does is, sign or execute a deed restriction specific to change in ownership once the in-law suite is no longer used as part of as by members of the family, basically. But just real quick too, I apologize. I keep going back to some of the property maintenance issues. Can you comment on the 25 trash bags that were on the front lawn at the time of the inspection?
They're gone.
Yeah, that was an oversight. So normally we have our lawn guy when it's time for the leaves every year to remove them and blow them off the property. And normally we have the same people do it. Once we moved out, I had my property manager manage this process, and I did not have my normal lawn guy do it. So her guys did it, and she did not tell them to do it the way we normally do it, which is just leave the leaves out in front. And they thought they were being neat and putting it in trash bags. But of course, as soon as it was brought to our attention by the inspector, we had it removed. So they haven't been there since shortly after the inspector noted it.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lewis.
I might be, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if my comment is aligned with Commissioner Nars, but let me say this. One, after about 10 minutes, I still don't know what the issue is. The line of questioning seems to be out of place, like why 25 bags outside? We could probably go to many people's houses in this township and find a bunch of bags outside the house. In fact, I just got a letter about one. So help me to understand, please, what the issue is so we can get to it. Because I'm not sure it's all over the place.
Yeah, so I think the line of questioning about the code violations sort of are ancillary. However, they do feed into a bigger picture potentially. And the question here is, do we want to take action or no action on the application to allow this property to continue to maintain an in-law suite? Henry, is that, or Ed, is that basically what we're looking at here?
Correct.
Yes.
And Mr. Duffy and the applicants, Ms. Joseph and sir, I didn't get your last name, so I apologize.
Jean-Louis.
Jean-Louis, Ms. Joseph and Mr. Jean-Louis, it's my understanding that you would agree to the deed restriction that we typically ask applicants of this type to agree to as part of the zoning application.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
And Henry and Mr. Sekawongo and Mr. Diazio, we have done this sort of thing in the past.
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would go take no action.
Yeah, with that condition, I assume.
With that
correct?
condition, absolutely.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Any comment or question on that? Commissioner Rappaport.
Yeah, just a question, because again, I've been going back and forth trying to understand what's going on. So does the family now have a permit for a rental? Have they applied for a rental permit?
Yes, so I can
Use?
speak to that. They applied for the rental license and it was denied based on the property inspection that Henry's referencing, due to the fact that there is a second kitchen in the home or an in-law suite that is not permitted under the zoning ordinance regulations.
So depending on how the zoning board rules, they would have to still apply for that permit.
Yes, they would still have to go through the application process and get.
So that's part
get
of the
it.
Conditions that we would expect to see.
Yes.
From the zoning hearing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this doesn't, what we're requesting has nothing really to do with the rental license program. That we'd comply with that. And as I understand it, that, we have to provide the rental agreement over to the township, and then there would be an inspection of the property at least once every 3 years.
Okay.
Or as determined by
I
the
got
township.
it.
So it kind of protects the township to ensure that there's not multiple tenants.
Yep.
Renting the property.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor. And any other comments or questions Seeing none, all those in favor of Commissioner Brockington's motion to take no action contingent upon the agreement of the applicant for that deed restriction, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you both.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr.
everyone.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You
Good night.
too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Moving on to item number 2, review of zoning hearing board decisions. We have 2. The first is appeal number 25-3788, Tyler Gilbert for 400 Randall Road. Mr. Sekawanga, do you want to give us a quick overview?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this application is in Ward 2 and did receive zoning approval to allow for the construction of a 484 square foot detached two-car garage within the required yard setback.
Okay. So, Commissioner Lewis, this is in your ward, a motion for no action, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments or questions on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 2B, appeal number 25-3789, Wendy Brown for 101 Cliff Terrace. Mr. Sekawanga.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was before the committee last month, specific to a property at Cliff Terrace. The zoning hearing board granted the requested relief with conditions. Basically, they granted a relief to allow no more than 3 individuals to live in this residence. The conditions included no more than 1 car or other vehicle owned or used by the resident. The special exception would expire in 2026, May 31st, 2026. And they would have to comply with all the other conditions subject to the application as submitted. Again, this property is in Ward 3.
Okay. Any comment or question? I know that there was a lot of discussion on this particular property. Commissioner Cherico, you want to weigh in at all? Commissioner Rappaport?
No,
No.
I don't think I have anything to weigh in about.
Okay. Fair enough. Does someone want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion. At this point, we're looking for no action.
No action.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for no action.
Very good. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Zoning hearing board did good work on that one. Thank you. Moving on to item number 3, receipt of the monthly citizens committee meeting minutes. The first is the planning commission, which met on May 19th, 2025. Are there any comments or questions on those minutes? All right. I just want to point out that the planning commission has been doing a lot of work, particularly on the topic that we just discussed in the Public Works Committee with Melrose and many other things, and we appreciate their diligence and hard work on all of these things that preserve the community that we live in here in Cheltenham. I will move for acceptance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 3B, the Board of Historical and Architectural Review met on May 15th, 2025. They have 2 items to come before the board. The first is to consider approval of a certificate of appropriateness for application Bahar 25-6 of Debbie Vanderwater, contractor for the property of 155 Greenwood Avenue in Wyncote, for the replacement of 2 double-hung units with shahs and grills, it's a new word for me, to match the existing windows. So, Mr. Sekawanga, do you want to tell me what a shah is? Other than some sort of sultan or something?
Gosh. It's probably a spelling error.
Okay, sorry. That's good. Now I don't feel so bad. I didn't know what I was reading. Okay, so do you want to tell us about the application?
Real good.
No, it's just it's basically the recommendation was for approval of the replacement of 2 double hung windows. So
Commissioner Rappaport?
I'll move approval.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
And also with thanks to the borough.
Yes, of course. Thank
There
you.
were.
Good point. All right. Moving on to item number 2, consider approval of a certificate of appropriateness for application Bahar 25-11 of Christine Lewis, representative of AT&T Facilities, located at 7309 Butcher Street in Elkins Park, for the installation of a diesel generator and accessory features. I see we have an attorney for the applicant here. Mr. Sekawanga, you want to give us a brief overview and the resulting vote from the Bahar?
Yeah, again, this is an the installation of an emergency generator. The generator is not visible from the street, and the Bahar members voted to recommend approval of the request. Given that it wasn't even in the purview of the street and visible from the street, they didn't feel there were any challenges specific to this approval. But again, Mr. Schubert is available to comment any further if needed.
Mr. Schubert, do you have any brief comments that you want to add before we ask some questions?
No, attorneys are loath to like add anything if they don't have to. So I think it's a very straightforward comment or a straightforward application. And what we're looking to do is just add emergency backup power to keep the site running in the event that there's power outage.
Okay, fair enough. Only the good lawyers know when to be quiet. So I do have just a couple of questions. This may be for you, Mr. Schubert, or for Mr. Sekawanga, and then I'll certainly turn it over. I see Commissioner Rappaport has a question too. So currently there is no generator there. Is that correct?
There is no generator for AT&T. I'm not aware. I believe there are at least 2 other providers that are on that water tank, and they may well have their own generator. I know the issues come up in the past about, well, why can't these providers get together and share their generators? And for various technical reasons and also restrictions from the FCC, I've been told that each of the providers needs to make their own arrangements for generators.
And Mr. Sekawanga, do you know if there's other generators there already?
I'm not aware. Okay. I can't comment on that positively. I apologize.
There is an existing generator for another carrier existing at the site currently.
Okay, fair enough. That's helpful. Frankly, for me, it's helpful that we're not necessarily putting something where there wasn't, right? If there already is a generator, maybe that makes it more palatable. But I guess my next question is, in the event that this gets approved and the generator goes in, are there restrictions on its noise levels, its intrusiveness in the community, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, it presumably has to be up to code and not be a nuisance if it's turned on. Mr. Sekawanga?
Actually, I can speak to that. So yes, it's installed with a level 2.
I'm sorry, who is speaking?
Oh, Brent Priner with General Dynamics Construction. I'll be the construction supervisor overseeing the project.
Okay, thank you.
I'm the one with the intimate knowledge of every generator that we install. So this will have like the highest rated sound enclosure around it. Again, if you are 6 feet away from it, you will be getting about 62 dBm, which for comparison, that's basically what you are hearing in your earphones right now at best. And that's, again, if you are 6 feet away from it. If you look at the property lines, you can't get nearly that close to where that generator is located. Plus natural foliage will also attenuate that sound down as well.
Fair enough. Thank you for that. That's appreciated. And then my last question before I turn it over is, what happens if we don't approve this? Does the generator go somewhere else, or do we suffer with loss of service if there's an electrical emergency? What are the consequences of saying no to this?
So again, in this situation, you would have a DC power plant backing up your cell phone service through AT&T, but that's for a very limited amount of time, maybe an hour at most. And then following that, depending on exactly how many circuits are actually passing through the AT&T network, The thing about this is that a lot of the carriers that you see on that cell tower, they usually do share fiber network backup together. So that way they don't have to keep on digging for additional fiber runs for each individual carrier. So they do have agreements to barter and trade fiber network, but that actually could also take out some internet access as well.
Okay. Thank you. That answers my questions. Commissioner Rappaport, I see that you have your hand up.
Thanks. Just a few more questions. So the outages you're talking about are storm outages, or what kind of outages?
Specifically utility power outages. So anything that turns off the local power grid.
How often would you say you've been out in the last 12 months?
I actually do not have that information available. That would be for any local constituents to answer.
Well, I'm trying to get an idea of how often it's likely to be used.
This generator is also to make sure to back up for any of your FirstNet. So your emergency personnel, your fire department, police department, EMTs, those types of things. If the network does go down and there is a major storm in your area, whether it be a tornado or whatever the case may be, this backup is also to work in those situations as well. So, but there is a specific wavelength that your FirstNet will use in order to keep communications throughout your community.
Yeah, apologies. So that is part of the FirstNet network. That is for first operators, first responder operators. That's going to be your ambulance, police, and fire for your two-way communications, their walkie-talkies basically, or their CB radios. So yeah, that's actually another part of the impact. So again, as far as outages per year on average for a given community without a primary substation nearby, it's usually about like 5 times a year.
Yeah, I don't recall when we were talking, this goes back about 3 years ago, I guess, with our emergency providers about their communications. I don't recall this being a site that was discussed or this kind of need. So I'd kind of like to hear from our emergency providers about that.
Commissioner Rappaport, I might add, just by way of some background as to why a lot of these sites are now looking to get generators. This goes actually back to after 9/11, 2001. The FCC came down with an order that said that these cell sites are critical communications infrastructure, and passed a declaratory order that said they have to be essentially site hardened against any sort of outage, whether it's weather related or tourist related, because these sites are important for, as has been described by Brent, emergency first responders. And these sites are critical for communication services. So if the telephone network went down, if the radio network went down, these are additional redundant sites that would be available for communication purposes. So there's been a push, more of a requirement from the FCC that a lot of these cell sites through various phases have to be hardened. And part of that involves adding these generators for power backup. Batteries aren't enough, as Brent said. You're looking at maybe an hour or two at most, but they have to, with a generator, they're going to remain on air for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'd still, if we can delay for 2 weeks, I'd still like to hear from our first responders about that. My other set of questions has to do with possible alternatives to a diesel generator. And I don't know that, whether you guys want to address this or somebody else on our staff is able to address whether there are other kinds of generators besides diesel, especially in our historic district. And also how it is serviced in terms of fuel, where the fuel is stored and things like that. I'm not a big fan of that. I wonder if alternatives like other, perhaps solar power generators and other things would be.
Yeah, there is no solar power, sadly. As far as clean energy sources, there is none. You either have
Can you-
diesel, liquid propane, or
Anybody
natural
hear me?
gas. I hear you, sir.
I'm sorry. So if I can just step in for a minute, I'm Scott Lynch, I'm a fire marshal and I'm Director of Building Codes. Joe Stuckert's also on the call. He's one of the local fire chiefs. So we receive our calls through our phones, through our active 911 system, through FirstNet. They're our provider, and we have that through the township also. So if their system goes down, we're not able to receive calls and go out and help people. We have a township backup radio system that we utilize a lot during storms, because the 800 system countywide, depending upon the storm or, you know, the emergency or terroristic attack or whatever, is overwhelmed. So we still use our backup system, radio system, which I believe would transmit through these towers also. So it's kind of very important that we have that, and that, you know, they have the backup for more than an hour with the batteries. They have their generator that would provide days on end of, you know, power to us. Mr. Chief Stucker, do you have anything you want to go and add on that, or?
Yeah, so real quick, I know Commissioner Rappaport, you had asked about alternative fuel sources. In my past, I've done extensive work with a very large nationwide carrier for services. And one of the reasons that they use the diesel is because gas lines can be damaged or disturbed, you know, during a natural disaster, if something were to happen. And typically diesel, in most times, you can always get a vehicle or even in portable containers to the site in order to refuel that for extended periods of time. Like I said, I've done this many times in past where I've worked. And that's, like I said, the major national carrier always used diesel because of that fact, because they could always get that fuel source
Thank you.
to their locations.
Yeah.
So, thank you. What you're saying is reassuring. One further line of questions.
One more.
And that is, do we get any kind of rent or any other sort of payment for the installation of this kind of stuff?
This is a property that's owned by Aqua, Pennsylvania. It's the Lamont water tank. And Aqua is the one that receives the rent. AT&T has a lease agreement with Aqua.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schubert. Thank you, Commissioner Rappaport. I see Ms. Melton has a comment. We're going to pause, Ms. Melton, and we already have the view of the Bahar. Ms. Melton, you're free to make comments at the.
Excuse me. As
yeah.
the vice chair of the Bahar, if you read the meeting notes, I abstained, and I just had one thing to say to the attorney. If I had his information, that when we was at the Bahar meeting, unfortunately Henry was on vacation, I was trying to give some history about it, and I would have emailed him everything that I emailed him and emailed you, the state rep. I just want to say that, and then if you give me a chance, because I do have some questions too that I need to ask.
Yeah,
But
we're
I
going to
hope
wait till
that-
citizens. We're going to wait till citizens forum, and I'm going to make a motion based on, you know, you may have abstained,
Right,
but
the majority did say yes.
Yes, thank you. So based on that and what we've heard today, and the critical the criticality, that's a word, of these communications facilities for not only for residents but for our emergency responders is so critical. I will move for approval of the certificate of appropriateness. Are there any other comments or questions from the board? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schubert, and others. Appreciate your presentations.
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Thank
if
you
they
for your
could
time.
remain because if they could stay because some of the questions that I had might direct to
Yeah.
go to the attorneys.
Well,
because it
Miss
was multiple
Melton,
questions.
Miss Melton, you can contact them offline. I'm sure they'll be happy to put their contact information in the chat. It's citizens forum, not question the applicants at that point. So,
Okay, thank
yeah.
you, Mr. Sherbert. I'll send you a chat right now.
And,
Great.
all right, I'll cross chat with you as well.
There you go. All right. Can I have the meeting back, please?
I'm
Thank you.
sorry. Yes, you may.
Thank you. Appreciate it. On to item number 4, receipt of the staff reports for April of 2025. If anyone had the opportunity to click into the agenda, you could see the new open.gov and spreadsheets that have been put together, which really are helpful, both pictorial as well as listing a lot of the information. So I'm going to sort of take them together. Item 4A, planning and zoning monthly reports. 4B, report of the building inspector. And 4C, report of the code administrator. Are there any comments or questions on any of those reports? Seeing none. Okay, I'll move for acceptance of those 3 reports for April 2025. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you all. Moving on to item number 5, old business. We don't have any agenda items. Do any board members have any old business for building and zoning? Okay, seeing none, I'll close old business and open up for new business. There is one addition. We're going to need Mr. Sekawangu to sort of brief us slightly on this because it is, as I understand it, somewhat complicated. So review and comment under section 106, review of the National Historic Preservation Act for the install of 3 proposed replacement wood utility/metal light poles located in Glenside and 1 proposed new wood CRAN pole in Wyncote for Crown Castle, and the locations are listed underneath. Mr. Sekawangu, I understand that there's some cross purposes here, and maybe you can help clarify what we are supposed to be doing tonight on this agenda item.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm going to be also co-presenting with Mr. Coyle. I don't mean to put you on the spot, Bob, but I will be basically presenting this with you. But anyway, as part of being a CLG, a certified local government, we are required to review any applications specific to undertakings that may have impacts on our historic properties in the township. This application came in Tuesday, and when it did come in, there was a public notice attached that basically stated that a notice had been put in the local paper specific to the proposed, which is replacement of wood utility poles to allow for cell antennas at different locations in the township. Again, the challenge with these locations as part of my review was that the addresses mentioned did not exist or were at different locations. We did we drove around to determine the locations, and a lot of these addresses did not exist or were basically, the poles were within the same geographic area, but not at the, none of them had cell towers on them. So there was a bit of misrepresentation specific to that submission. We weren't sure about replacement of wood utility poles with metal light poles as suggested. And again, we had some challenges as part of cross-referencing with our Public Works Department, we determined that there was also an application for right-of-way permits that had been submitted. Bottom line is, as part of our obligation, it's our obligation as part of being certified local government to provide input to the FCC and the PHMC specific to this submission. But I'll ask Mr. Coyle to comment or add any comments you may have on this submission.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring in Joe as well, if he doesn't mind. I'm going to jump into him into this because when these right-of-way permits came through, when I took a look at these locations, and these were removal and replacement of township-owned streetlights. So after speaking with Joe, we don't want any additional equipment on those streetlights, not without an agreement, not without history or information of what this equipment was. They just came through as right-of-way permits to install. It was very vague, as to say the most of it. The Church Road location is on Curtis Road or Curtis Arboretum property. It was a proposed 45-foot wooden pole with a cellular facilities mounted to the top of it. That location actually is part of the road widening project. So immediately right there, that raised a red flag. And then me and Henry spoke about this, and here we are now.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying, I don't even know what the entity is, but Crown Castle essentially didn't give us notice, didn't pick the right locations, wants to put its facilities on or replace our light poles, put it in our arboretum, and did so after you already denied the right-of-way permits. Is that sort of a fair assessment?
They haven't installed anything yet.
No, but they want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of the 4 locations that they listed, 3 of them are township. One of them's on township property. It would be a new pole at Curtis Arboretum, and the other 2 would be removal and replacement of township-owned streetlights.
So the purpose of this being on the agenda tonight, you've already denied the right-of-way permits, right? So, but the purpose of this being on the agenda is because it was noticed as an opportunity for public comment. We want to make sure that we're taking that opportunity, even though based on the fact that they didn't get the right-of-way permits, that they can't install these anyway. Is that fair?
That would be fair to say. Not to mention too that as part of the 3 banner locations we have in the township, one of which is in front of the Wawa, they were basically proposing to replace that banner arm on the one side with one of their poles.
So, well, suffice to say, I think our comments, I'll start off the comments, pointedly, I am opposed to these proposed removals, replacements, add-ons at these particular locations, and frankly, the manner in which Crown Castle has pursued this is offensive in my view. So not to mention the historical impact, the community impact in our downtown district and our arboretum, and their sort of lack of diligence in dealing with some of these issues, like Mr. Coyle said, proposing a pole that's going in the what's going to be a new roadway, is just beyond the pale. So I, for one, certainly oppose this, and now I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Rappaport for far more eloquent and thorough objections to this proposal, as she often does. So go ahead, Commissioner Rappaport.
So there are a couple of things bothering me that aren't obvious here. One is that we're only being asked to, at least it looks like, we're only being asked to respond under the Section 106 review, which I'm happy to do. I think we need a motion to unanimously write a very strong objection. But my experience personally with that road project at Church Road is that the 106 process is not a very rigorous one on behalf of the township or on behalf of properties vis-a-vis utilities. What bothers me most is that we learned in our historic experience that utilities aren't beholden to our saldo or anything else. They can fairly easily run roughshod over our ordinances and our desires as a municipality. So my question is, okay, let's go forth with the 106 opposition, but I think we need something stronger and elsewhere. And I would like our attorney to also weigh in on how else to proceed. It might have more teeth.
So I think for now, the matter before us is to take care of the 106. I'd like to see what the response is. I have not had an opportunity, as we all know, this just came in yesterday. Have not done a lot of work with this yet. I can certainly regroup with Henry and Bo, and we could put our heads together as to what's next. But I think communicating, united opposition for purposes of the 106 filing is what we do right now, and then we'll regroup as to next steps. And we can probably, Commissioner Rappaport, have some updated feedback by the meeting in 2 weeks. So we don't need to push it off indefinitely. Just give us a few days here to put our heads together, because we've not had an opportunity to talk as a group yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rappaport. Commissioner Sigmundfeld.
Thank you. Crown Castle is a real estate investments trust that leases cell towers, and fiber optic cables across the United States and throughout Canada. So to Commissioner Rappaport's reference, it's similar to Enbridge wanting to come in heavy-handedly, just dictate policy and ignore two things. One, ignore the impact on the municipality. And the other thing is they earn substantial money from these types of installations. So similar to what we did with Enbridge, if we're going to oppose it, we also want to make it clear that should they think that they can make one of those or try to bring, whether it's one or four, first of all, if it's on property that is township property and it represents a conflict, it's very easy to turn it down. But where we may want to accommodate it, there is a revenue stream there of significant consequence, and we should participate in that. So I just want to let you know, I years back, but I no longer hold an investment in Crown Castle. I'm very familiar with them. And so this is exactly core to their business and the way that they operate. So we should definitely both oppose it and also create an expectation that if there's any further discussions, that there's a significant revenue share that's going to be provided in perpetuity, as long as that a cell structure, those communication channels, those fiber optic networks are in fact on or within our township.
Thank you for that comment. Mr. Sekwangu, back to you.
Thank you again for indulging me. I just want to also reiterate that I did attempt on several occasions to try to get Crown Castle to be a part of this meeting tonight to present on what they're proposing. I did reach out to GSS, who is the primary contact specific to Section 106 comments. I called the number that's listed on there on the letter. That number was defunct. I did not get a response. I just kind of was caught in a loop. Somebody finally did reach out to me, and instead of accepting an invitation, they pointed to Crown Castle. Crown Castle, I guess, pointed back to them. So just want to make sure that that's also on the record.
That doesn't endear them any further. So thank you for that, Mr. Sekwangu. So I'll make a motion that we submit the comments from today, whether that has to be in a letter or some other form, and that we strongly represent the board's opposition to their proposal. Any amendments to that motion? Anything to add? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And thank you, Henry, for your hard work on this. And it must have been frustrating dealing with those entities. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, specific to this public notice and the public comment, is there I guess it could come during public, it could come up during citizens forum, but I just want to make sure there's also input from the public at all.
Oh, is that part of the 106 review process? Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. So you have the board's position. If anyone on the Zoom this evening wishes to speak on this specific item, we are not in citizens forum yet. On this specific item, please raise your hand and be recognized. Ms. Melton, I saw your hand up, but I think it's from before, so I'm going to go to Ms. Stein. And if you,
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Stein. Please comment.
Just a quick comment that I guess it's my understanding, I could be wrong, that Section 106 is related to historical properties. So I'm wondering if you can even oppose based on Section 106 for any areas other than Curtis, since it's only Curtis that would be impacted. I don't think maybe the one up by the seminary would fall under 106, but I don't think anything on Easton Road would qualify for
Arcadia.
Arcadia. Okay, that's my only comment.
Thank you. And any other comments? Okay. Mr. Sekwango, the public comment period remains open for 30 days. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you.
So anyone who wants to comment further, I suppose there's an opportunity to do so. Mr. Sekwango, can you advise folks how they would do that?
Yes, so there's a number. That phone number was actually activated or reactivated today after I alerted them that it was defunct. And the email, I'm not sure that that's going to work. It's probably going to bounce. So what I did, I utilized the email at the top of the letterhead from GSS, and that's how I was able to get a response.
Is that something you can we can publicize somehow?
Yes, it's on the website right now, but
it's on our website. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. All right. Anyone who decides to comment after this meeting can. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sekwango. Is there any other new business for tonight's Building and Zoning Committee meeting? All right. Seeing none, I'll close new business. We'll go to Citizens Forum. And Ms. Melton, you've been very patient. Thank you very much. And you have 3 minutes.
Well, hopefully I'll get the same thing if I go over that was given to the other person, but in the other meeting. But I had some questions, and I'm going to say this, and y'all know that I tend to be candid. I'm going to say this how I feel. I looked at the fact that the National 106 section was going to be reviewed for what you just discussed. However, the issue that we have over at the water tower is definitely in the National Historic District. So I guess one of my questions, which don't have to answer tonight because I did, for the last 2 years saying that I thought there was some activity going on and that there was a court order and that the judge had kept jurisdiction to make the settlement, make sure everything was together in regards to that. I was aware that, or I was made aware that that wasn't an issue for the Bahar. However, it all ties in. It all ties in regardless whether it's a Bahar issue or not. And what is striking me now very strange, and I'm a little upset because I don't want to think what other people think, that Lamont is always placed on the side or not thought of or they don't care. But that national ruling and the laws and regulations should have been looked at before it came to the Bahar, because the Bahar is only advisory. Not being able to explain a few other things before the commissioners make a decision, in my opinion, puts us at a disadvantage because everyone doesn't have everything on the table. The lawyers for AT&T clearly did not know that there was a court settlement and the issues. No one seems to have followed going to the property, which the Pennsylvania state did do before, to see how small it is. So my questions are, did Aqua provide the township with any input? Okay. Did the commissioners at least receive a copy from the FCC report about that sound? Okay, and not just because they said so. You need to have something in writing, something clear cut. And yes, I've already asked for assistance to make sure that AT&T, who knows they're in historical district, who back in either 2002 or 2003 or 2012 had came to the Pennsylvania Historical Commission, Museum Commission, to show their plans. They know what they're supposed to do. We have to protect ourselves. When I say we, the citizens, the people we elected to protect us. So we have to be on the same accord, but we have to have everything in front of us to make a rational decision. And with that, I think my 3 minutes may be up. I believe everyone had received my emails in regards to this matter. And the only person I did forget to send it, because it is a federal issue, because in the Federal Telecommunications Act, there is information about what those telecommunication companies can do in or adjacent to a historical district. We found that out the first time. So
thank you, Ms. Melton.
Yeah, I'm just kind of still upset, but you get my gist. Oh,
Sure.
one question.
No,
You might
okay,
be able
go
to know,
ahead.
but yeah.
Go ahead, ask your
AT&T
question because you're beyond time. So go ahead.
Well, thank you for giving me the same thing you gave the lady in the other meeting. Thank you. Was AT&T, first, when did AT&T go into the water tower, and was the antennas that was on 1925 AT&T's, because they have disappeared? You might not be able to answer it now.
Ms. Melton,
Answer
please
it later.
ask the
Thank you.
question and let's move
I
on.
did ask the question. I asked the question. Can you hear me? Or did you mute? Can
I
you
want
hear
you to
me?
just ask the question so we can move on, please.
I did ask the okay. Let me
Okay, so
ask
then
the
you're
question.
concluded.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, ma'am, but please ask your question. Let's move on.
Question. When did AT&T put their equipment on the water tower, and was the antennas that were on 1925 West Cheltenham part of AT&T, because they have disappeared? That's my only question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other public comment? Any other comment for Citizens Forum? All right, seeing none, I'll move for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.